series here in Palo Alto with Victoria Ransom, the founder and CEO of Wildfire Interactive. It's great to have you.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Tell us a bit about Wildfire. We're upstairs, sort of above your offices now. Tell us about the company.
Sure. So Wildfire is in the social media marketing technology space. So we've created a platform that makes it really easy for companies of all sizes to create different kinds of engaging social media marketing campaigns, like anything from a contest to a coupon to a quiz, giveaway, all kinds of campaigns that are shown to be really engaging to consumers, a great way to get social network users to engage with your brand. You can create them using our platform literally in minutes. It's a easy 6-step wizard, and then publish them with the click of a button to different channels. So to your Facebook fan page, to your website, which we automatically integrate with Facebook Connect, to Twitter, so different kinds of social media channels. So really, we help companies, we provide a very, very effective ways for companies to build their fans, their followers, their newsletter subscribers, to engage them. And without Wildfire, they're faced with having to go out and hire a developer who custom builds an application to run a sweepstakes on Facebook, and then they have to hire someone to build that for their website, a microsite. So we've really taken a process that could take anything from weeks and months to something that's turnkey and very easy for any kind of business.
And when you sort of opened up shop in Palo Alto, you were about 10 people.
Yeah.
Now you're more than 60 developers in Europe and sort of a team based around the U.S.
Yeah.
What has that growth been like? I mean, it certainly was fueled with some venture capital.
Yeah.
But tell us sort of what that process has been like.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable and just incredibly exciting. And the company's been around for a couple of years now. For a long time, it was just myself and my co-founder working out of a home office, and some developers, I guess. Middle of last year, so August of last year, we publicly launched the product, and that's when we really started to get a lot of traction. We actually very quickly, we had a wonderful run where we very quickly got lots of customers. We actually got to profitability very quickly. So we've been able to grow the company. At that point, we started hiring salespeople and really building up the business side of the company. But we were really able to fuel that growth through the revenues of the company, which has been really, really exciting. We did take on funding in April of this year. So that's certainly given us the comfort to accelerate growth, but in fact, the business is still actually supporting itself very well. So it's been very exciting.
And when you mentioned that you got to profitability quickly, we're talking a year, so not very much time at all.
Yeah, it took us about a year to build out the product to the public launch phase. Yeah, that's right. We had private beta for quite some time, but when we publicly launched it, it was a little over a year from when we sort of first founded the company.
And was that one of your goals? I'm sort of curious to hear, you undertake launching this social technology company. What constituted success for you?
Yeah, so, obviously success was getting lots of happy customers, I think, first and foremost. But then along with that, you've got to generate revenues for the company, and if you have happy customers, you hopefully have revenues as well if you charge for your product. So I think, the goal, honestly, first and foremost, it was to build a really, really great product. That was the first goal of the company. We just thought there was a need for this. We thought it was an interesting opportunity. We thought it could serve a lot of businesses. So first goal was to create amazing software. Once we'd done that, then it was really to scale up and bring on lots of customers. And I think we also had a goal to not necessarily go down the typical path of raising lots of money right away, to go for as long as we can, really bootstrapping the business initially, and then we actually were part of the Facebook fund early on, so that was a great way for us to sort of, a seed round really. That was a grant that we got from the Facebook fund. So we were able to be pretty lean and take the company really pretty far before we needed to go and take on, more traditional capital, I guess.
And how important was that sort of modeling and basically being able to understand sort of what financial success meant for the company? You have an investment banking background, and I'm curious about how crucial you think that was to being where you're at now.
Projecting the financials, honestly, it gets more critical, and so now that's something that's a pretty big focus, and that we really do spend time on. But when you're really early stage, you don't really know until you've got your first customers, until you know what they're willing to pay, until you can see what the traction is. Any projections you put together, to be perfectly honest, are, a guess. And so honestly, I think at the early stages, you've just got to focus on building, so you've got to believe there's a good enough market opportunity. So the market size has to be there. You've got to believe that and research that and understand that. You've got to have some belief or understand that customers are willing to pay for your product. But beyond that, I think it's just focus on creating a great product, focus on how you're going to market it, rather than spending tons and tons of time coming up with projections that really you've not yet been able to validate. So, yeah.
And this is not your first entrepreneurial undertaking. And I'm curious about sort of how important the lessons you learned in your first startup, which was a travel company, were in shaping Wildfire.
Yeah, so they're very different kinds of businesses. The Access Trips is an adventure travel company. So we were in, I think, about 18 different countries. We ran instructional sports vacations. So young professionals could go and let's say they wanted to learn to surf. They would learn to surf while traveling with us in Morocco. So definitely learned great things. I think we learned really good things about online marketing and how you reach people. We learned great things about managing distributed teams, which actually when we started with Wildfire, it was an entirely distributed development team. Now most of our team is here in the Palo Alto office, but initially it wasn't. And just a lot of the basic things about how you get started with a business, how do you incorporate it, all of that. But there's a lot that's very different about Wildfire too. It's a software product. It's much, much more scalable than Access Trips was. So I think there's also been a lot of new things we've had to learn. But the other thing you learn through the first company was just the perseverance and the ups and downs and learning to live with that and hiring. How do you hire good people? How do you identify good people? I think we learned some good lessons through Access Trips.
And how do you hire good people?
Oh no. Well, I think so how do you find them is the first thing. Definitely for us, referrals have been huge.
Sure.
Really important. So, make your existing employees happy enough that they really want to help you to grow the company.
Sure.
And bring
that they want to bring
people.
the people they know.
Yeah, and until you've got employees, then start with other people in your network, whether it's your school network or investor network or whoever. So that's how you find good people in terms of identifying, them. Well, that's always a tough one, but I think you've got to have pretty clear, we have very clear criteria for the culture of the company. So we're really, really looking very carefully at, do we think this person's going to add to the culture here? Beyond that, then obviously you're looking at what's their background, what other jobs have they done, you're doing reference checks to see if you think they're capable of doing this job. In the end, though, you through interviews, you can only do your best, and you've really just got to get someone on the job and see how it goes. But we've had great success with hiring. We've got a really great team. So, yeah.
Sort of parting words. I'm curious about if you had sort of one piece of advice to offer to someone who is thinking of sort of quitting their day job, launching this idea that they've got. Maybe something learned either in business school or through your first or second startup.
Yeah. Well, look, I could give lots of advice. One thing I think, if you've got an idea, think really critically about why are you the right person to succeed in that idea and why now? And so, for example, with Wildfire, we started a business that previously there was no need for it.
Sure.
And then because of a change in the industry, which was social networks, there suddenly was a need now for companies to market on social networks. So if we looked around and said, and we were one of the first companies to do this, if we looked around and said, well, why is there a need for this now, and why are we really, why is it that there aren't a bunch of other companies doing this?
Sure.
Well, because there's been a change in the dynamics of the industry, and now this opportunity has arisen. If you look around and there's not other people doing what your idea is, but there's no explanation for that, like there hasn't been a shift in technology or in the industry, maybe it's because your idea is not a very good one. And if there is a lot of competition, then you've got to really say, what is it about me that's going to make me succeed better than all these other competitors that are out there? So, I think just being really, I know a finance professor said that about investing in the stock market. You really don't assume you're better than everybody else, because you probably aren't. You've got to have some kind of, either special understanding of the markets, or you're probably better just to invest in a general fund. I'd say that about entrepreneurship. You've either got to believe you've come across something earlier than others, or you've got some special competitive advantage. Maybe you know the right people in a specific industry. But be really critical in your thinking about why your idea is a good idea and why you're going to be the best to do it.
I love that advice.
Yeah.
Victoria,
Okay.
thank you so
All right.
much.
Nice.
A lot
Thanks
of
for the opportunity.
Check out Victoria's startup at wildfireapp.com. Watch more in conversation videos with female founders and executives at women2.org.